Welcome to the Officer Autumn podcast, the only podcast designed specifically for female cops in mind. I hope you enjoy this podcast episode. Welcome to another podcast episode. I'm excited to be here with you as always. So what I'm answering today is a question that came directly into the DMs from Instagram. So what I want to tell you is that there are a lot of ways for you to do this as well. You can message me on Instagram. You can come into our Facebook group. So I have a brand new Facebook group for it's called Officer Autumn's Female Cops. You can come on in. Even if you're in the process, you can come in there. We can ask questions and I will answer them on the podcast. Also, you can message me on Facebook, Autumn Clifford, or you can email me, autumn@autumnclifford.com. And soon we are going to have a podcast page for you to just submit your questions. So there's a lot of ways for you to get at me and I can answer your questions. Today's question comes from a female officer and she says, do you think that over time the culture towards the police departments will get better for women? And I have a lot to say about this, but first I want to let you know that not all police departments are bad. So if you're in the process and you're like, holy shit, or you want to become a cop and you're listening to me and you're like, oh my God, all Autumn talks about is how bad it is. No, I'm not really trying to talk about how bad it is. I mean, the reality is it sucks for a lot of women, okay? The culture sucks for us right now as a majority. But there are police departments, there are supervisors, there are chiefs, there are environments where women are flourishing. I do believe I was doing some homework. I'm putting together my presentation. So I don't know if you know this, but I am a new instructor with street cop training. I'm actually their only female cop instructor. They have another woman. She's a therapist. She seems super badass. Haven't met her yet. Cannot wait to meet her. Anyways, so I was going through them and I'm continuously trying to make that training better and putting more information in. And I came across something that said there was either 50 female police chiefs across the country or something like that. And so we are moving forward, just so you know, we are doing good things, but there are police departments, there are environments where, we're not well received. Okay. And so we just have to talk about it. And I'd like to give a shout out to all those good police departments. I don't know them, but this is what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to compile a list of fucking really great police departments for women to go work at, because I think we don't need to be keeping it a secret. So I'm going to be putting out a video and I want you to come and I want you to tell me if you know of a great police department for women to be working at so that we can spread the word for other women to come and work at. Because what happens is I get DMs when the woman is fucking burned out, when she's been there and, even just a year or even less than that. And she's like, I'm getting treated awfully. Not just normal, you're the rookie, we're going to treat you like shit stuff. I mean, complete ostracization, complete, just assholeness. And the thing is I don't know if it's because these men are she can't hack the job. Then the thing is if an officer, male or female, cannot hack the job, what we need to be doing is having conversations about that. It has nothing to do, well, I'm not going to say anything because she's a woman. No, fuck that. Let's just talk about it. But you cannot say because she's a woman, she can't hack the job. Well, then that's bullshit, right? But if you're well, this officer who happens to be a female, okay, can't, she has absolutely no command presence. She cannot make a decision. She cannot follow directions. She cannot handle herself. And that's been proven on multiple occasions. She has a hard time following directions, blah, blah, blah. If you are articulating all of those things for an officer, then that's one thing. But that's by and large that's not what's going on. What's going on is a woman is coming into the job. She is somehow, somewhere catching a lot of shit. from somebody. It's making her extremely nervous. And so when we get nervous, we get like arrogant confident. And then when we get arrogant confident, we make mistakes. I don't really think, I just want to say, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like all female cops are great. Like, no, we're all human. And there's women in law enforcement that do not belong there, but there are men in law enforcement who do not belong there. Straight up. There's good people and bad people of every fucking gender, right? Like, so I am going to say, like, I've worked with some who didn't belong in the job. I've worked with men and women who didn't belong on the job. I've seen a lot of men and women who I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oh my God, like, you're going to get hurt. All of the things, but it had nothing to do with whatever their gender was, right? And I just think like a lot of conversation could be had, and it would save a lot of issues. Now, if you see a struggling officer, then fucking pull them aside and say, hey, here's what I did. I see a lot of myself in you. Here's what I did. If that officer is too fucking arrogant to, receive that, that's on them. Has nothing to do with you. Now, we also have to be humble about things. We can't just be walking around thinking our shit doesn't stink. Even me. Like, yes, I am a mentor. I'm putting myself out there in a big way. I'm continuously being humbled. I am continuously taking trainings. I coach. And listen, part of my coaching is, it's not all me like giving people advice. Like, if you've ever worked with me, it's not that. Like, yeah, I give you some advice, but I really open the fucking doors for us to have conversations and open your mind to asking yourself the questions, because the truth is you have the questions that you need answered. That's just the truth. You're just coming to me because you think that I have the answers, and I have some answers, but I know how to get the answers out of you. That's what I'm really fucking good at. That is my job as a coach. So I'm just saying, like, none of us know it all. We're all learning from each other. I continuously try to like open the floor for different, advice on all of the posts and everything that I do, just because, I welcome everyone. I just welcome perspectives. But when I know that I know something, I'm going to stand on it. And when it's my content, it's my stuff. I'm digressing. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent. But so, do we think that the culture is going to change? Yeah, I do. I do think the culture in police departments by and large are going to change. At the end of the day, we have agencies that you're going to see police departments who are going to stay in the fucking 1800s are going to fail. And I'm going to just tell you, I can't even fucking fathom people operating like that. And I'm just going to tell you right now, hot topic, but like Autumn's opinion is that if we are operating the way that we did in the 1900s, right? Like early fucking 90s and stuff, and we are not, evolving with the times, the police department as a whole is doing the community a complete disservice. We need to be bringing in members of the community. We need to be hiring a diverse range of people. Inside of that diverse range of people are women. I'm not saying it's women who can't hack the job. I'm saying there are qualified women who can fucking hack the job, who are tougher than nails, who will go and have more heart than more fucking men than I know. But yet they're not even getting an opportunity because whatever reasons, right? Because they are a woman and they get on the job and they are getting harassed. And like what people don't understand is a woman who's acting like a bitch more often than not is acting like a bitch and putting on that front because they had to, because they've been dealing with things that you don't even know behind closed doors. And that's a whole other podcast, and I'm going to make that, I promise. But like, that's the truth. And it's the same for men. Like when we see the assholes, it's because that fucking asshole's been through shit that we don't even know. And I get that. Doesn't make it right or wrong. You also just have to understand, like, try to understand where that person's coming from. It's called empathy. Okay. And we just have to empathize with people, and we all need to stop being so egotistic about everything. Like, just because you're a cop doesn't mean you're God's gift. And I'm a fucking cop right here, right now. I've been a cop. I'm not God's, and I never acted that way on the road. I just never did. I mean, I knew what my job was. My job was to get actual bad fucking people off the streets. That is a whole lot different than a lot of the police work we're seeing be done today, right? You know, I'll never forget this time, and I know I'm digressing, but this is how it goes with me, and you know that by now. Yeah, I'll never forget the fucking time that, like, I see this kid and it's at night. I'm doing a pedestrian check because it's fucking midnight at 1 a.m. I got nothing else to do. There's no, you know, there's just, so basically the cars and the people, I'm talking to them all, seeing what's going on, right? But anyways, a kid fucking jogging down the street at 1 a.m. isn't typical. So he's like 17, 18 years old. I do a pedestrian. What a nice kid. I mean, serious, a very nice kid. And I'm like, dude, like, what's going on? I got to fight with my girlfriend. I got in an argument with her. And like, I couldn't stay there. So I'm jogging. I'm like, you know, and he came from like 3 miles up the road. I'm like, holy cow, right? He ends up having a fucking warrant. You know what the warrant was for? Is because he got a speeding ticket. And his mom was supposed to help him pay it off. He's still in school. He's working part-time. He's doing all the things, but his mom decided to be an asshole and didn't. And she had a record too, so it wasn't like she just forgot. Okay. And so he gets this fucking $100 FTA, failure to appear, or some shit warrant. And like, I'm telling you, the arrest altogether in and out would have taken me 30 minutes. It took me 2 hours. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I sat there with that fucking kid and I was like, you are not going to jail. You are not a bad person. You do not belong in jail. Like, hurry the fuck up. Like, let's call everybody you know. You know, and like, I'm like, okay, where's the nearest ATM? Because I'm just going to whip out $100, this kid, you know, like, and we ended up getting him, you know, bailed out. But what I'm telling you is like, that's not common practice. Again, we have to be reassessing why we are doing the job. You're not going to hear me stop talking about that. That's important. So we got to be out there doing the right things. We can put our egos aside. You're not God's gift. You are here to do a job. You are here to protect the communities and the citizens, and like, just do that. You know, don't be a dick. Don't be an ass, you know, to any other officer. Like, I'm so sick of the whole, like, we eat our own. I'm going to make a podcast about it. I'm so sick of that. But so at the end of the day, if you're like wondering, is the culture going to change? Yeah, it has to. It has to. It just might be slower in some parts, you know, of the country than others. And just remember this, you're not owned by anybody or anything. And you can fucking absolutely do this job. And you can find a police department who will support you. You just have to be willing to look. And a lot of us aren't. I hope this was helpful. If you need anything, like I told you in the beginning of this podcast, you know where to find me. Officer Autumn on TikTok. On Instagram, Officer Autumn's Female Cops on Facebook for the group, and I will see you next time.